So on this video we're going to work a couple of depreciation problems. One is straight line, one is units of production, but before you can do that you have to understand a couple of terms. One is cost. So as you can see, it purchased it for, so there's our cost. Residual value. Residual value is what you think it's going to be left over, what's going to be worth when you're done using it. So this one is going to have a useful life of 5 years, and then at the end, $500,000. So you need to understand those terms to be able to calculate your depreciation. So in a straight line problem, the straight line means it's the same depreciation expense every single year. So you calculate that. The formula for that is cost minus residual value divided by useful life. Right? So that's equal to the depreciation expense. Alright, so in this case, it's pretty simple. We have $4,500,000 minus $500,000 divided by 5 years. That means my depreciation expense is $800,000 per year, right? Every year. So this asks for the depreciation expense for 2016. So that's it for every year. For the next 5 years, it's $800,000. But we'll say depreciation expense 2016. So there's the first problem, part of your problem. Next, it asks for book value. Okay, so book value is cost minus accumulated depreciation. Right? So accumulated depreciation means every year you accumulate that expense. So the first year it's $800,000. The next year after that it's $1,600,000. Right? Because it accumulates. The next year after that, the expense is still $800,000, but the accumulated depreciation is now $2,400,000. Right? So every year the depreciation expense is $800,000, but the accumulated depreciation goes up by the new depreciation expense. So this is asking for the end of 2016, so we've only taken 1 year. But if it said at the end of 2017, then you'd have to do 2 years of depreciation, right? So cost in this case is $4,500,000 minus $800,000. And so book value is equal to $3,700,000. So the variations could be, well, depreciation expense is pretty easy. Straight line, right, is just cost minus residual value divided by whatever the number of years is. And that's going to be the depreciation expense every year. Accumulated depreciation, every year you add a new year. So in the end of year 1, it's $800,000. At the end of year 2, accumulated depreciation would be $1.6 million, right? And so on and so on. Book value is always cost minus accumulated depreciation. What could change is, if this said the year was 2017, you'd have to subtract the same cost, but now you're subtracting $1.6 million, right? And so the book value is now smaller. So in straight line, the depreciation expense stays the same every single year. The accumulated depreciation gets bigger every single year, and the book value gets smaller every single year. And that's about all I can say about that. The next problem on this page is a units of production depreciation. All right? So for units of production, what you do is you calculate a depreciation rate per unit. So a unit would be, in this case, it's plastic beer mug. So every time we produce a mug, that's 1 unit. If it was a car and we were keeping track of mileage, a mile would be a unit, so that would be your rate. If you were tracking a ship motor, it might run hours. Alright, so you're going to have some kind of unit. And then the problem will tell you, okay, well, how many total can you make if you use it for the whole time? And how many are you going to make each year? So in this particular example, we have a machine that molds mugs. And over its whole life, it's going to make 100,000 mugs. So to use it up and be done with it, you're using it for 100,000. You'll keep it for 3 years. That's fine. That's really not going to be part of the calculation. It does have a residual value, so we expect it's going to be worth $50,000 at the end of the time, and then we'll sell it, I guess, to somebody who wants it. And here's how many units it's going to make in each of the years. 30, 45. Well, that's only tells us, it only tells us 2. All right. And so in this case, what we're going to do is, oh, look at that. Look who's here. All right. I'm going to let her out. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that interruption, but she's pretty demanding. Alright, so we make some mugs at different times. Alright, so the first thing about this is you have to calculate the rate per mug. Alright, so that's the unit of production rate. Unit of production rate equals, right, cost minus residual value, so that should look pretty much the same, divided by total expected units, right? The total expected units, right? Which is the same thing as the useful life. When you think about it, in this example, the useful life was 5 years. In this example, the useful life is 100,000 beer mugs, right? So, right, over the next 3 years, a total time. All right. So 250, so that's our cost, 250 minus residual value of 50,000, right, divided by 100,000 equals to $2 per mug. So that's my rate. That's how much it depreciates every time I make a mug. All right. So the next step is to calculate the depreciation expense, right? This is just the rate per mug. The actual depreciation expense is equal to unit of production rate times number of units produced. Right? That makes sense. So in this case, for 2018, they expect to make 45,000 mugs. All right. So that's $2 per mug times 45,000 mugs is equal to 90,000. Is my depreciation expense for 2018. And that's how you do straight line and units of production. Next video, we'll do double declining balance.